ask you about your thoughts about Councillor Chu's question regarding the SDP.
I didn't actually hear the question. I was a couple of minutes late today, but I can suggest that there is very, very clear policy at the city that looks at employees and appointees to our boards and commissions, which says that it is absolutely permissible for them to volunteer with political campaigns on their own time, as long as they're not doing it on city time using city resources. And I'm sure that that is what the city solicitor will tell us, but I look forward to hearing from her at the end of the meeting Thursday.
Does that include donations?
Absolutely.
So is there a line at which some people in certain positions shouldn't be involved in any sort of public way?
Well, you know, the policy is very clear, so let's see if the city solicitor has any additional color to add to that.
If it's that clear, why is it in camera?
That's an excellent question for the city solicitor.
Other topics?
We're doing a facilities update in camera this evening.
What could it possibly be?
Sure, tell us.
Don't know, it's in camera.
And why tonight? Why couldn't it be tomorrow when you're doing in-camera stuff?
Oh, only because a couple of key members of administration, including the people who look after infrastructure, are going on vacation on August 1st, which is tomorrow.
Shouldn't they waited a couple of days when you guys were done?
Not if something is suddenly added to the agenda on Friday afternoon.
So does that mean that if something isn't decided today, nothing will move forward on the arena funnel until November?
Why in the world would you make the assumption that it has anything to do with that?
Assumptions.
It's an interesting one. Anyone else? Want to talk about arts funding?
Yeah, do you want to talk about the $2 million?
I love that I'm just giving you questions. Let's discuss Jester and how he's doing. I don't know. I haven't heard any updates on Officer Jester. Yes, I was very pleased that Council moved forward with the $2 million in bridge financing for the large arts organizations, as well as requesting a rethink on whether the level of funding that we supply to these large arts organizations, which are really the cornerstones of the arts community, annually is adequate. So I think Council made exactly the right decision today, and I was pleased that it was an overwhelming majority of Council making that decision.
And the 3.7 is not an item for this time. Nobody should.
No, you know, and as I said at PFC, I'm not in favor of giving people more money than they ask for. Really, the bridge funding is about getting people through this while we think about whether we need to increase the funding in the long term. And I think most members of committee, and I assume of council, agree with that if they come with a request for another $1 million or $2 million annually, that's something council could consider. It's a big number, but it's not a giant number in council's budget. And if we are actually out of sync after many, many years of freezing funding, and we should change that on an annual basis, that's way better than applying bridge financing.
On the secondary suite front, we probably won't get to it today, but do you think a solution is on the horizon with Councillor Chabot's notice of motion?
No. I have voted for every compromise on this, just in the hopes of moving the ball down the field. A little bit of what's in Councillor Chabot's notice of motion does move the ball down the field, but most of it is extraordinary amounts of red tape, extraordinary amounts of administration. It actually pulls us back from where we are now, and it seems intent only to save a bit of time for council by making it much more difficult for people to come to council. And I don't think that's the right outcome either. That just leads us to a world where there are more and more illegal suites, and people like you met today who really want to legalize an existing suite and make it safe will have disincentives to do so.
So what parts do you support?
I don't mind the different designation for basement versus backyard suite. I think that's actually pretty thoughtful and something that we need to do. The rest of it, I will listen to the debate, but I'll need a lot of convincing. Oh, there is one thing that is unclear in the notice of motion, which says you can only apply for one per year. And I think the intent was you only get one free per year. So that if you're a landlord who wants to do a whole bunch at once, then you have to pay for the additional ones. I might be convinced on that. On the other hand, I have noticed that having the period to waive the fees has brought a lot of landlords who have a bunch of illegal ones out of the woodwork, and I don't want to give them a disincentive to do so. The more legal, the better.
What about the fact that landlords it would have to be registered before they could advertise it for rent?
I don't know how in the world we would enforce that without hiring a bunch of people to look at Rent Faster and start making phone calls every day. I'm not sure that's a good use of public servants' money.
One last question, and I have to wrap this up.
Sorry to be off topic, but how are our negotiations going on in arena field?
Conversations continue. Thank you. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Yes.
Just one. Which is, if council were to accept the recommendation, let's say, or I know this will happen in 2 or 3 days, But what happens to the remaining $2 million, and also what happens to the bid exploration?
I think that the recommendations that are coming to council, which I have to admit I have not read in detail yet since it won't come until Wednesday or Thursday, I believe the recommendations suggest to put that money aside for now in case it is needed for further activities, and that administration will come back in September with a work plan including a governance structure, but fundamentally that the bid exploration committee in its current stage has completed its work.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.